think there's still a few people just joining, but we'll get started here. Morning, my name's Opash and I'm on the marketing team here at Bridgeall. Just wanted to thank you all for joining us for our Power App session, where we'll be showing you how to streamline your business processes. Just a quick note before we get started. So the session is being recorded and we will be sending a copy out of the recording and the slides after the event. So if there's anything that you do want to catch up on, or if there's anybody that maybe couldn't make it, you can catch up on those later. You will notice that you're on mute, but we do encourage you to use the chat function to ask any questions and we'll do our best to answer them throughout the duration of the session. We'll probably have a dedicated Q&A at the end as well. So if we don't manage to get to your question during the session, we will answer them at the end. So that's just the kind of few points covered. Just thanks again for joining us. I'll now pass you on to our team of experts. So we've got Graham McLean, Josh Giles and Charles Sexton, who will be leading you through the session. So hope you enjoy and find it useful. I'll hand it over to you now, Graham. Thanks.
Thanks, Opash. Morning, everyone. Thanks for coming along and attending. So, as Opash says, today we're going to talk about streamlining and automating your processes within Microsoft Power Apps. So, by way of an agenda, we'll do a short kind of introduction, who are Bridgeall, a bit about ourselves. We'll do an introduction to Power Apps, and then we'll talk about the benefits of Power Apps. We'll talk about Power Platform enablement, and we've got a demo to show you, and then we've got a Q&A at the end as well. So I'll run through the kind of who we are section, then I'll be handing over to Charles and Josh to take you through the rest of the demonstration and the slides today. So Bridgeall are based in Glasgow, around about kind of 44 staff, established in 2002. We work across a number of different kind of business areas. The modern workplace, so I head up the modern workplace practice, so it really focuses on improving the employee kind of productivity. It works across everything in the Microsoft kind of 365 platform. So SharePoint, Dynamics 365, Power Apps, those kind of technologies. We also have the managed IT service and support pillar, and it covers security, infrastructure, cloud services, moving from on-premise infrastructure to Azure, cyber security, those types of aspects as well. And analytics and applications is the third one. So supporting and developing kind of large-scale bespoke solutions, business intelligence and data projects as well. And then separately, we've got our own kind of IP. So we've got a suite of product solutions that are focused really on the water sector, being able to kind of calculate bills for commercial water customers or forecast bills for commercial water customers. So across all these pillars, we advise on the kind of best options, so we can get involved upfront before you've made the decision to help you understand what the problems are, help you kind of get the right technology decision and the right technology for what you need. We can implement those solutions for you, and then we can provide ongoing IT solutions thereafter as well. We're a 10 times Microsoft Gold partner and now been replaced by the Microsoft Solutions partner program. We have 4 of the badges for that as well. We're Microsoft Content Services preferred partner, so we're one of about maybe 30 or so worldwide partners who have kind of exclusive access to see the engineering team and see what's coming out through the platform as well. We're also ISO 9001 and 27001 certified, and we're Cyber Essentials Plus as well. So here we've got a number of our customers. We work across both private and public sector and across a number of different industry verticals. The main ones really being manufacturing, housing, kind of national government as well, but we work across all sorts of different companies and all sorts of different sizes as well. So just before I hand over to Josh, I think there's a poll just going to be put up in the chat as well, if you guys can have a wee look at that, and just put the answers onto there as well for us. So I'll hand over to Josh now, just do introduction to Power Apps.
Yeah, thanks, Graham. Morning, everyone. Hope you're all well today. So just a quick introduction to Power Apps then as you finish off answering the poll. And what it is, so let's take control here. A quick overview of what Power Apps is. First and foremost is a productivity tool. So if you've used Word, Excel, PowerPoint, it's in the same kind of vein as that, to be honest. It's a tool to help make you more productive. And it adds just another kind of quiver in your cap, so to speak. You've got two options with Power Apps. There's Canvas apps, and they're like apps that you build from the ground up. So you have to design the interface, bring the data in, add your connectors and all that kind of stuff. You can also build them with Copilot as well now, which is a really great feature. And then there's model-driven apps, which is a bit lesser known. If you've just started using Power Apps, you've probably heard of Canvas apps, but maybe not so much model-driven apps. But model-driven apps are quite cool because you effectively design the data model, and then it designs and builds the interface for you. So it's a really good way to get started with lots of data and get working with productivity apps quickly. And all those options are available as desktop, tablet, and phone options as well, making them great across a variety of use cases. So Power Apps actually sits within the Power Platform, so it's just a small part of that. And leveraging the full Power Platform is where you're going to get the most kind of biggest benefits and gains from it. So as you can see from this graphic here, we've also got Power BI, which I'm sure some of you are familiar with. That's the reporting and dashboard tool to gain kind of business analytics. There's Power Automate, which is centered around process automation, workflows, and also things like process insights as well. So you can actually kind of map out processes and figure out where bottlenecks are to improve and further streamline those processes within your organization. And then there's Power Pages, which is the external website portion. So if you want people who don't have access to your Microsoft or Azure tenant to gain access, you can use Power Pages and connect that into your business data, which is great. And then there's Copilot Studio as well, which allows you to design intelligent, actionable AI assistants for your employees and customers. And that's all kind of underpinned by data connectors, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a short while. PowerFX, which is the expression language, which is very Excel-like in nature. So if you've used Excel expressions, you'll probably understand PowerFX quite easily. And then there's Dataverse, which is the enterprise database management system for Power Platform. And there's AI Builder as well, which allows you to create and use AI models to optimize business processes. And there's pre-built ones of them as well, so you can get started quite quickly with them. So moving on to benefits, I'll hand over to Charles, who can talk a bit more about that.
Thank you, Josh. Hello, everyone. My name's Charles Sexton. I work for Bridgell as a senior Power Platform consultant, and I'm also a Microsoft MVP, which stands for Most Valuable Professional. So yeah, Josh was talking about an overview of Power Apps and an overview of Power Platform. Now I'm going to delve into the benefits, or a high-level overview of the benefits that you can get from Power Apps. So Josh talked about Power Apps being a productivity tool and being quick and easy to pick up and being fast to develop with. but that doesn't necessarily mean that it can't be used on an enterprise level or at scale. So as you can see from the quote there, 97% of the Fortune 500 companies in 2021 were using the Microsoft Power Platform. There are no more recent figures from Microsoft, but regardless, it's an extremely high figure. So the reason why is because of what it offers, because of the productivity benefits, because of the value that you can get from it. It's all built in the cloud, so you don't have to have any software on your own servers. Microsoft manage all of that, but that also means that it will scale to whatever your needs are. So, excuse me. So regardless of whether you have an app that's created by one person and used by one person, or you have an app that's created by a team of people and used by thousands of people, it will scale to your needs. Included is also robust and flexible security. So people are logging in with their Microsoft accounts, so you don't have to worry about authentication. And there's extremely granular levels of security detail that you can go to within the Power Platform using Dataverse and other tools. And it's all underpinned by Microsoft Azure. So the same technologies that have been used for many years on the professional development level are being used in order to manage the Power Platform side. So another benefit that we get from Power Apps is that we have easy integration with all of the Microsoft 365 technologies, whether it's Outlook, Teams, SharePoint, or even generating Excel spreadsheets, or even consuming the data from those spreadsheets. Or maybe we want to generate a Word document. Perhaps you want to generate proposals. It's very quick and easy to do in something like Power Platform and Power Apps. It's because all of this is part of the Microsoft technology stack that there are integrations across absolutely everything. And of course, that's going to enhance the productivity because it's much quicker to build things. So as Josh mentioned Copilots earlier, I'm going to explain a little bit more about that. So a Copilot is essentially, if you think of it from the terms of the word with a plane, you have your Copilot next to you. They're essentially someone who's going to help you on your journey with whatever task you're trying to perform. So they're essentially your digital assistant. Microsoft have over 150 Copilots, so it can be quite overwhelming and difficult to understand which Copilot you're talking about or working with. But in the context of Power Platform and Power Apps, it's relatively simple, actually. There are two different types of Copilots. So for Power Apps, there's a Copilot that you can talk to, and it will help you to build an app. So you can ask it, can you build me an app for a hardware store to track my inventory? And then it will generate, as you can see in the screenshot, an example of a table structure that it thinks that would work for your app. And you can talk to it more in natural language, and then you can build out your table structure, even multiple tables, and then you can ask it to generate your app. And then once your app is generated, again in natural language, you can talk to your Copilot and ask it to change elements of the interface or to add features, that kind of thing. So that's a Copilot that can help you with building apps. So instantly you can see that there's a massive increase in productivity towards things that you can do to help you with your job or help your colleagues with their jobs. But there are also Copilots that you can have inside of the apps. So embedded inside of your Power App, you can have a Copilot that whoever's using the app can talk to the Copilot to gain insights into the data that's being used. So you can interrogate the data, you can get insights. You don't necessarily need to go to the levels of Power BI for reports, but instead instantly you have access to lots of reporting data through the Copilot. And in the future, we're going to be able to create Copilots that act more like agents. So you can ask it to perform tasks inside of an app. Perhaps you have an app for holiday requests, annual leave. You could ask it to create a request for you instead of actually filling out the form. So it helps us to essentially be a lot more productive in building whatever software we're needing to build, as well as in consuming that software. So Josh also mentioned connectors as being part of Power Platform. And the reason why connectors are so good is because it gives you the opportunity to integrate with anything. So there are 1,400 connectors plus within Power Platform for so many different so many different types of systems. It could be systems created by Microsoft, but it's also many external systems. So if you have an external CRM and you want to interrogate the data or even save to that CRM, there's potentially already a connector that exists for it. If there's not, there's the option of creating custom connectors. Now, for a custom connector, you will need some development knowledge. But once you've created that custom connector, you can then give that to the people in your organization, and they can quickly and easily build apps around that integration, because the custom connector is essentially an API wrapper. So whoever's creating the custom connector will need to understand the API, but whoever's consuming it won't need to, because it will be broken down into very simple functions. So again, it means that once you've got the technology in place, then you can have your makers, your employees creating apps very quickly and very easily and gaining huge benefits from that. So Zopash is going to put up another poll for us, and I'll pass over to Josh.
Thanks, Charles. Take control back here again. Okay, so we've talked about some benefits and given an overview of Power Platform and Power Apps and how it can boost productivity. But with great power comes great responsibility, really. And what we want to do is enable the platform for makers and users of Power Apps and Power Platform. And getting a handle on the governance is generally a first step into Power Platform. So let's take a look at some of the options that are available. One of the key starting points is data. Charles mentioned about connectors and that there's a lot of options to connect into business data, but we don't necessarily always want to give our Power Apps, Power Platform makers the ability to access that data. So if you've got data in SQL Server, for example, that's production data, business critical, you might not want makers accessing that in a development environment. You might only want that to be accessible in a production environment. So something like a data loss prevention policy can help with that. And effectively what that does is it allows you to categorize connectors and your data into almost like buckets, so that you can block connectors from being used or enable them to be used for Power Platform makers. You can set this up at the environment level, and you can also span it across environments as well. So you end up getting a really good kind of system in managing all of that data and protecting the business as well. And really what that amounts to is it's good data governance and good data assurance as a result. So sticking to the topic of data, establishing a data strategy is a really good kind of initial step as well. Where your data lives and how that should be considered in the context of Power Platform. So what that means is if you've got an app that's maybe dealing with just personal productivity scenarios or really kind of simple business use cases, then something like SharePoint or Teams is a great option for that. It's not sensitive data, it's just helping users be more productive, for example. But if we're talking about a business critical application or something that's very sensitive in data, then that's where you want to start thinking about maybe using an enterprise database storage system such as Dataverse or SQL, for example. And just having that strategy as to where things will live will help kind of define how things will work within Power Platform and set up some guardrails for your makers and your users in the organization. We move on to solution strategy as well. So somewhat similar. So for those that don't know what a solution is in Power Platform, it's just like a folder of components. A component could be a Power App, it could be a Power Automate flow, a table, and it just all lives within that kind of folder, and that allows for things like good application lifecycle management, so moving a solution from development to test to production to occur. But actually categorizing these solutions can drive good insights and good governance too. So if it's that personal productivity scenario again, that's maybe a small solution, and maybe that doesn't need to be managed by IT. It could be managed by the maker or supported by whoever developed that solution. But when we start looking at the other end of that scale, such as something that is mission critical or very sensitive data, then that's maybe something that would be managed by IT or someone else with a bit more technical capability. So actually having that strategy where you can categorize the solutions really helps kind of drive informed insights into that. Then adoption. So we've mentioned it several times now, but Power Apps particularly, but the wider Power Platform is a productivity tool set, and enabling users in your organization to actually adopt it will kind of realize the most benefit. So helping with setting up adoption resources is probably quite a key thing to do to realize that value. And there's some good options that exist to help with that. So things like setting up a SharePoint hub site with options to show how to get started with Power Apps or Power Platform, or training videos and tips, or embedding a Viva Engage, Yammer, or Teams site into that as well, so that you can kind of foster a bit of community around that, so that people can help others, is another great option. Organizing a hackathon. So for those that don't know what a hackathon is, it's usually an event set up by a company or an organization that wants to kind of get a high quality solution through collaboration between experts. So what we usually do is get teams of people within the company to come together and tackle a problem, and you end up with an output from that you can then expand on. You could also hold app in a day or engage with a partner to help with that. That's usually like a workshop that helps makers kind of get started with building apps, how to actually build a Power App and kind of make up of that as well. And lastly, a partner can help with all of this stuff and maximize the adoption within Power Apps and Power Platform. So moving on to licensing. This is quite a big topic, so we've tried to make it as kind of simple and easy to digest as possible. The main option for licensing within Power Apps at the minute is the Power Apps Premium license, and that gives you unlimited apps and Power Pages with that license entitlement. So when you think about the productivity benefits that Power Apps can bring, and the time saved, actually it becomes quite an attractive option when you start thinking that we could be building multiple apps, and you end up saving and gaining a better return of investment doing it that way. You also get Dataverse entitlement and AI builder credits built into that license as well. So right out the gates, you get that enterprise database solution as well as AI capabilities, which is great. But just a note on that though, if you're building those personal productivity solutions that don't necessarily require sensitive data or business critical data, you do get the ability to build Power Apps using your seeded M365 license, using standard connectors, things like SharePoint, which is a great starting point. What we tend to find, if you try and work around the license, it actually ends up becoming not very cost effective, so to speak, rather than just going ahead and starting with the Power Apps Premium license. We've included a little bit of market research that Forrester did as well on the subject, showcasing that a global manufacturing and distribution company actually realized a return on investment of 502% through Power Apps Premium licensing, which is quite insane when you think about it. So this is probably the more fun part of the webinar, where we're going to talk about the demo. So I'll pass this back to Charles to showcase some of that.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, I'll just take control. So firstly, I'm just going to set the scene for our demo. We wanted to have something where we could demonstrate a use case that makes sense, but also we wanted to make it quite fun because it can be quite dry going through technology topics. So setting the scene for this, we're talking about a company, a fictional company called Tunnelall, which is just a play on words of Bridgeall. They're managing their internal support via email at the moment. So as you can imagine, it's not really the best solution. What it means is that, of course, you've got tickets flying everywhere. They just can't keep track of them. And this is a problem for the business. How could they resolve it? So they could buy an off-the-shelf ticketing system and pay a monthly fee for that. And probably the licensing costs are quite high. But before they got to that stage, two of the employees, Beth and Ben, who work in finance and HR, they don't have any development experience. They don't know too much about IT, but they want to see if they can tackle the problem first. Because what they're aware of is that they have Power Apps premium licenses. So they understand that Power Apps is a thing, and they want to look into whether they can take advantage of that. So they start learning Power Apps and they start working on things, and they decide that they can build a help desk app to replace the email ticketing system that they've got at the moment. And this will then mean that they've got all of their tickets in one place. They're easy to manage and easy to search and filter and to pass to other people, and they can keep track of them. So they decide to build two applications. They build one application which is for the people who want to submit the support tickets, the people who need the help, and that's a Canvas application. The reason why they decided to go that route is because they wanted to be able to create the interface themselves. They wanted it to be able to be branded and to be very clean. And the second application that they created is a model-driven application. So for this, the interface was generated based on what model they had created for their data. And this was for the people on the back end, so the support staff for all of the different departments. And what it meant then was that someone could submit a support ticket and then they could pass it through to whichever department it needed to go to, instead of it being stuck in lots of emails. Halfway through that process, they realized that they were hitting upon some brick walls. They couldn't quite get enough knowledge for what they needed to do. They were worried that they weren't following best practices, all of that kind of stuff. They just wanted to enhance the process. So they decided to engage with us. And then we are now helping them move towards building a minimum viable product. So this is the stage we're at now, where we have something that's functional, it's a minimum viable product, and it's a piece of software that we have the ability to build on very quickly and to do some very clever things with it. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen, and we'll have a look at this product that was built. So here's the Canvas application for the ticketing app. I'll just give it a second to load for all of you. And what we're looking at here is from the perspective of someone who wants help. So I've asked for help on quite a few things. My laptop was overheating. I needed my pay slip. I needed to know where to find my employee handbook, and I wasn't sure how to submit expenses. And what we've done with our system is that when people submit the tickets, we contact artificial intelligence and we get the AI to categorize these tickets. So all of these categories you see here, no one has entered, but AI has decided these are where they sit. So this means that we can automatically route tickets to the correct departments. You can also see that we can assign things like priorities, and something that could be built into a later version of this application could be service level agreements and things like that. We've also built in some search capabilities. So if I wanted to search for any tickets that are about my laptop, then I can find that. I'm currently looking at the open tickets by default, but I can go and have a look at completed tickets. And this is all functionality that's very easy and very quick to build into an application with Power Apps. I can also have a look at which ones are high priority. So now let's move on to looking at what is the system like when it comes to submitting a new ticket. So I need help for something. So I go to new ticket and I need to put in a title. So I've already written it out just to make it quicker and easier to do. So for this particular scenario, I'm saying that I've got a problem with my USB drive and I've plugged it in, nothing happens. I can save a due date if I want to, and I can save a priority if I want to. Now, what's important for us to know from the perspective of what can Power Apps do is what's going to happen when I click on Submit Ticket. And what will happen is that we will first contact AI and try to understand what category this ticket should belong to. So which department should it go to? And what we've done in addition to that is that if the category is recognized as being an IT issue, we've built an artificial intelligence, a chat GPT-like process where we're asking an IT expert, can you resolve this for our user without giving it to one of the people in the IT department? So if I click on submit ticket, it's then going to go off and contact that AI, send it the description of our ticket, and then the AI is going to respond with what it believes could be solutions to that problem. So there's no human intervention at this stage. So it's come back to us with 7 different things that we could try in order to resolve the USB drive issue before we need to go to the IT department. So it might be that, yeah, this resolved my issue, so I'd click on that, and then that would be it, job done. We wouldn't need to submit a support ticket. But it might be that I still do need help. So when I click on this, it will then go and create that ticket, which will be stored in Dataverse, and then the people who are providing the support can then access the ticket and start dealing with it, so responding to it, processing it essentially. And so what we're looking at here now is that I've created my ticket. I'm being told all of the details. I didn't tell it that it was an IT ticket. This was automatically created by artificial intelligence. And I can now then get support on it. So when someone comments on my support ticket, I would then receive a notification, which I could click on the link in the notification, or I could just come here and refresh the list, and then I would see new comments. And Josh has already created a comment. So he's asked me to try to see if another USB device works. So I can just respond to that now. So we can create a new comment. We've got the ability within Power Apps to do things like rich text. So if I wanted to, say, put that in bold, then I can do that. And then we add my new comment. We can also, of course, add images to this, so we could paste screenshots into it, that kind of thing. So the capabilities with Power Apps are huge. And this is an application that was built part-time over 2 weeks by Bridgel, but it's something that people without any development knowledge could build themselves bit by bit. And it's very quick. It's a speedy development process because it's a low-code platform. So I've created my ticket, and we'll see now that my ticket is in there. My USB drive is not recognized. We can now move over to Josh's side to then see, well, how does this look from the perspective of the support person?
Yeah, so let's look at the model-driven side now. And this is from the context of, someone that's actually going to be working on the ticket. So I'm going to share my screen again. Just give that a moment just to appear. Okay, so we've seen what the Canvas application can do, but let's look at the model-driven application now. So what's great about a Canvas application, like we've already mentioned, is everything you've just seen there was built from the ground up very quickly, but everything has to be developed to be pixel perfect. A model-driven app is slightly different. So like I mentioned at the start, you build the data model and it gives you the interface. So what you see here is being built for us, which is great. And we've just plugged in our data, our tables, and it does everything else for us. So we can see requests here, and we can see that request that Charles created, it's been assigned to me, and it's already in this table view. And what's really nice about this is out of the box, we get some really nice kind of visual aspects to this. We can see that the priorities have got nice color coding, the actual person the request has been assigned to, you get that kind of card fly out, and you get some really nice out of the box features here with very little effort. So what we also get out of the box is the capabilities to search, sort, and filter all of this information. So if you could imagine, if you've got hundreds and thousands of rows of data that you need to manage, the ability just to plug that in and not have to worry about too much in the way of setting up things like searching, sorting, and filtering is a real big plus for a model-driven app. So we can see here the tickets come in. I'm just going to sort that from new to old so that you can see that it sorts very quickly. And that sorting and searching experience persists across whether it's 5 records or 5,000 or 500,000. It's very, very quick. So I'm going to click into this request now. And what we see here is it actually opens up what we call the form view, so we can actually see all of the details for the request. We can see the reference that was submitted, the category that it was assigned to by AI, who it was assigned to, which is myself, and the actual details of the request as well, such as the title, the description, who submitted it, and the sentiment. So we're actually pulling in using AI as well to give us a sentiment. Obviously for requests, it's probably more than likely going to be negative most of the time, but it's good to see that we can pull in using AI, that kind of thing as well. But you might want to gather sentiment analysis on feedback, for example, instead, as you achieve a more production ready application. Then on the right here, what we can see is that conversation that we've just been having in the Canvas application and how it filters through to here. So we can see that the comment that I've added there, and then the comment that Charles added back. So I think at this point we would probably want to get an engineer out to actually take a look at that in more detail. So I'm just going to add a comment there. And then that would go back through to the Canvas application, so that obviously the ticket submitter could see that. They would maybe get a notification in Teams or via email, and be able to see that pretty instantly when going into the app. What we also have in a model-driven app is we get nice CRM functionality out of the box. So we get accounts and contacts included as part of Dataverse. So we can actually create a really quick and easy CRM management system with very little effort, which is great for, if you want to kind of manage contacts or accounts or, suppliers. You can do that really, really quickly, and it doesn't take long at all to develop this and then put it in place because it's already there. You just add it in and the interface generates the rest. So finally, we've talked about Copilot, we've talked about AI. We want to talk a little bit more about that in a model-driven app. So we get Copilot embedded now for us, which is great. And we can see that really quickly we can get some sort of analysis and insights into our data without having to build complex reports or speak to data analysts for really quick and simple things. So I've got a response I've just saved here from earlier. We can see, obviously we can see there that there's 2 requests assigned to me, but imagine again that we've got thousands or hundreds of thousands of rows of data, and we wanted a really quick insight to see who has what tickets and what number of tickets are assigned to them. So I'm going to give Copilot a prompt to say what are the requests assigned to me, and hopefully this works. It should come back and say that there's 2 requests assigned to me. So fairly quickly it's come back, and actually gives me actionable insights as well. So I can go in and click on these if I want to, and it'll just open the record up in that form view again. Or if there was loads, I could show them on a filtered list view as well. So that's great. So let's look at another prompt. So obviously we store all our contacts in our CRM here, but maybe you want to do a bit of data cleansing or updating and want to see what we can do. So I'm going to ask it what contacts don't have a contact number so that we can go in and update them. And again, it goes away and it goes and finds all of those contacts within a matter of seconds and returns all of the ones that don't have phone numbers so that you can go in and action that. And again, you can click on the summary of these ones, but because there's a number there, there's 30 that is returned for us, I can actually show that on a page, and that's going to give us a filtered view of that data. So I can then go in and action that, which is great. So you can see how Copilot can really start to kind of drive productivity in an organization through either natural language and helping an end user out when submitting a request, or for someone in the back office for actually kind of managing and working with the data. And lastly, I just want to showcase in a model-driven app how obviously there's lots of people that like Excel and will continue to use Excel. And you can combine the two within a model-driven app. So any data that you have in here, you can export it to Excel really easily. You'll notice if I click up here, there's an export to Excel button, which is out of the box in the model-driven app. If I click on that, that's actually going to open that or download an Excel version of that data so that you can work with it straight within Excel, and that keeps everyone happy.
Sorry, Josh, I think you're just sharing your window, so we can't see the Excel.
Oh, okay. You'll just have to believe me that I opened up an Excel window, but yeah, it opens up Excel in the same format that you've just seen it in the model-driven app. So let me reshare the slides now. Okay. So let me just go back to where we were. Okay, yes, so that concludes the demo. And in summary, what does that mean for your business, yourself, your organization? Really, what it means is that organizations are adopting low-code technologies at incredible speed, and AI is leading the way in this kind of technical revolution within the low-code space. It speeds up development. It helps users be more productive with their data by providing insights and analytics in a natural language way. So really, if you've not thought about low-code technologies and where that fits within your kind of business strategy, it's probably a good opportunity to start thinking about that and how that could give you an edge over your competitors. And, it's a journey. It's not, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So a lot of the times, engaging with a partner like Bridgel, we can help you realize that benefit and that value and help you with that overall journey within Power Platform. And that's the end of the demo and the slides. So I'm going to open the floor up to questions. Whilst the questions are being asked, feel free just to read through that. We've included another bit of Forrester research that provides more insights into the benefits that Power Platform can bring, which are backed obviously by the market research that they've done. So yes, feel free to ask any questions and we'll do our best to answer them.
There was one question that came up, which is to do with the licensing. What licenses are needed to run this app? And so I'll just mention it to everyone who can't see the chat later on. Essentially, it's 2 applications, and if you have your users of the applications licensed with premium Power Apps licensing, then they can use both of the applications and an unlimited number of extra applications. So this is where it comes to the return on investment, that with just using one application, you don't get as many benefits. But as soon as you start building out a whole catalog of applications that are benefiting your business, you're still paying the same amount per user, but you're getting all of that value add. So that's where it goes back to that Forrester research of a 500% return on investment there. So yeah, there's a huge value to be added once you're more mature with your Power Platform portfolio. And I wanted to actually mention on the list of bullet points that we see on the screen at the moment, the last point. I think a lot of the time people from IT departments might be concerned about the security being impacted in a negative way from Power Platform, because you feel like you're just opening up the floodgates to people to create anything, and then the data can go anywhere, and you feel like you have no control over it. But what Forrester discovered, and this was back in 2021, is it actually improves your IT security to have the guardrails within Microsoft's ecosystem. And since 2021, there have been great strides made with governance and IT and data loss prevention within Power Platform. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm thinking there's no other questions coming in at the moment, so I think what we'll do is probably wrap up there. Yeah, I'm just going to check the chat. Yeah, I think we're probably wrapping up a bit earlier today, but yeah, if you've got other sessions to get other things to get on with, we'll end it there. So thank you so much for joining the session today. We hope you found it useful. I just want to take the opportunity to thank Graham, Josh and Charles for a really insightful presentation as well. Thank you so much, guys. We'll be sending you a follow-up shortly. So in the meantime, if you do have any questions, please do get in touch. I'll put all the information in the chat how you can get in touch with us. We also have a couple of other, well, we have another event coming up on the 18th of July, all around Azure cost optimization. I'll put that information in the chat as well. And if you'd like to sign up for that, or if you're interested and want to find out more, you can do, you can have a look at our Eventbrite page there. So yeah, I'll just wrap up there, but thank you so much once again. We hope to see you at a future Bridgel event soon. And yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.